Hey, church, today is day 3. That means we're in Acts chapter 3. Acts chapter 3 starts the day after Acts chapter 2. If you remember yesterday, the Holy Spirit came. They started speaking in all different languages. They drew a crowd, and Peter basically opened up the window and started preaching and led thousands of people in response to Christ. Well, chapter 3 is the next day. So they go to the temple where everybody would have been. And right outside of the temple is a place called Solomon's Porch or Solomon's Portico, depending on your translation. And basically today we would call it a foyer, or a place that we would hang out, much like I'm in today, where we would sit and drink coffee ready for church to start. It's the same type of place. And so they're there, but they usually see a man that is always there. And a lot of beggars and handicapped people would have been there to beg for money, and widows and people wanting help. And we see that. And all of a sudden, we see that Peter goes up to a man and says, "I have no money, but what I have is yours." And he heals a man. And this is really important because this is the first miracle of the apostles. They'd done some miracles as they were disciples when Jesus was with them, but now that Jesus has ascended, this is the first miracle that they do. And he heals this man, and it says instantly he gets up and he's excited and he's hanging around them, and they go on into the temple courts. And when we pick up in chapter or verse 17, we see that everybody's like, "Oh my goodness, that's that beggar. That's that guy that always was there. He can walk," and he's so happy, and he's leaping, and he's excited. And once again, a big crowd is drawing around Peter. So Peter, being the preacher that he is, just starts preaching. And he starts telling people, and he walks through some Old Testament prophecies that Moses and some other people say that says Jesus was the Messiah. The guy that you killed is truly the God of the Old Testament. And so they hear this, and their hearts are starting to break, just like in chapter 2. And once he just doesn't tell them who Jesus is, he gives them an opportunity to respond. And one of the best verses is the last verse of chapter 3. And as I read this, it just really kind of took me by surprise in the fact that it says that God sent Jesus first to bless us by turning us from wickedness. See, a lot of times, people and even ourselves, we think that we have to get good enough to come to church. We have to get good enough to come to God. We can't have all these sins. We can't have all these attitudes. We can't have all these different things in our life. But right here, chapter 3, the last verse, 26, it says, very first, Jesus came for you. We didn't come for God. We didn't come for Jesus. We didn't come for holiness. God is pursuing you. And that's what Peter was explaining, and that's what, church, we need to explain to others, that God is pursuing them. Church isn't pursuing them. Rules and rituals aren't pursuing them, but God pursues them. He wants the relationship. Because today's 3, we have some prayer focuses that we should pray for our desire to reach out into our community, that we should want to get outside of our walls, and we should want to be able to reach people, not for church, not for rules, but that they might know that Jesus. And another thing is that God would open doors. He would open doors for you personally to talk to your neighbor. He would open doors for us as a church to be able to help out in our communities, that we'd be able to reach the people of Jasper County, to reach Carl Junction and Carthage and Webb City and Joplin and Great Neck and all the other cities that are around in Jasper County. Guys, I'm so glad that we're doing this. It's meaning so much to me, and God is illuminating scriptures, and I hope He is for you. We'll see you tomorrow on day 4. God bless.